Hey guys, welcome back. Broncos Country, let's ride. Mr. Unlimited, back in action. Super Bowl or bust. Broncos Country, let's ride.
That's it.
Well,
That's the show, guys.
yeah, it's all that matters. Broncos, basically the best team in the league because Broncos Country, let's ride. But yeah, welcome back to another episode of this podcast. You see my energy has like fully reestablished now from that uh very explosive win a couple weeks ago. I'm so excited because Broncos country, let's ride. But how are you doing, Josh?
You look like a changed man, Corstian.
I
It's
am.
this is not what I expected to see 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's completely
Yeah,
different.
you threw it to a few weeks ago. It was Broncos country, let's cry. But now we ride in.
Nice. Doing good. Wasn't really doing good Thursday despite um the Bears winning. Like I honestly fell asleep in the middle of the fourth quarter, and when I woke up, I was like, "Oh, I didn't miss much because the score didn't change." And it was a classic under 20 game. No offense. I was really happy with the defense, but other than that, been chilling. Been really busy at
hmm
work, but not doing much.
hmm Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I've been chilling too. Had some Taco Bell earlier today. How to get myself some energy for this. So, hype myself up because Broncos country, let's ride.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah.
He's gonna
Anyways,
say this for the whole show, guys. Just warning you.
yeah, Broncos country, let's ride. To the first game, which we want to talk about, which is the Bears-Panthers game. So I know you start talking about this, but more in depth, how'd you feel about this game?
Not great. I mean, I'm happy the Bears won, but I didn't feel great after that. Just a lot to be said where um, it was 12 drives with punts and then like 5 drives that ended in field goals. So if you're thinking about like how many possessions go into a game, you're looking at like 20 like total, and 17 of them like end up in like kicks, but not like extra points. So like that was really tough to see. Um, like if this spotlights anything for you, the leading receiver of this game was DJ Moore, and he had 58 yards on 5 catches, 34 of them coming after the catch. So yeah, really high scoring affair here between the Bears and the Panthers.
hmm
Dante Jackson looked really good for the Panthers. Um, Tyreek Stevenson has played really well lately. He was targeted 6 times in coverage. Playing 60 defensive snaps, but he only gave up 3 catches for 23 yards. Didn't allow a first down, forced one incompletion. So really good. You could tell the Montez Sweat trade really made a big difference on the Bears. Like he has the impact I thought Yannick would have when he was signed in the preseason. And for Sweat coming in like at the trade deadline, like and the secondary being healthy, you're finally seeing what this Bears defense can do. And I think it's really a situation where it's like, oh, we had talked about this in the beginning of the season. Oh, the Bears didn't have their secondary, so it was really unfair matchups that they were facing. And now that their secondary is healthy, they suddenly look like an elite defense, which is not what I thought I would say about the Bears. Um, and things seem to be coming together from there.
hmm
Um, Offense is a little bit of a struggle fest. Like Tyson Bagent wasn't as turnover prone as he was last week, but he still like makes some reads without like technical knowledge. For a rookie, you want him to be aggressive, but sometimes he's aggressive and not smart. So
hmm
that's kind of like teetering that line. I think he's a great backup QB. The Bears landed in like an ideal situation where they have 2 good quarterbacks, and it's been a while since, as a Bears fan, I could say that. So I'm really happy with the QB room. Now it's just like, how do we build around it? Um,
hmm
and I'm looking at like college football landscape and how like Caleb Williams is not like performing as like you think a generational number 1 pick might be. I still think he is,
hmm
but if you see like how he's been playing lately, I still think I'm in the minority when I say the Bears might be better off building around Justin Fields keeping Bajent and just trusting their development and coaching. It's very slow. It's not been as fast as I thought it was,
Hmm.
but like you can see the progress being made. It's just okay. Now we need to add more
Hmm.
talent around them because I don't think Darnell Mooney, Tyler Scott, Valus Jones, like those guys are enough around Valus Jones. I don't think even Komet is enough, like around DJ Moore. And Komet's been playing well this season. I think they really need to go get a Marvin Harrison, Brock Bowers, like the kid out of Florida State. I think is Keon Johnson or like I'm forgetting his name at the moment. Um,
Hmm.
what's his name? I let's see here.
Oh shoot.
Keon Coleman. Why did I say
Mm,
Keon Johnson?
I
Oh
don't
my
know.
goodness. Okay, yeah, Keon Coleman. Like if you can get a Keon Coleman or a Marvin Harrison Jr. with that top pick, I would be happy with it personally. And then trying to get Brock Bowers if our pick is low enough, like in the top 5 or something like that. If you get those two guys, or like even a Keon Coleman and the Marvin
Hmm.
Harrison out the same draft class, I would be super ecstatic if
Hmm.
I'm a Bears fan because they're both like number one wide receivers that can be with, like after 3 years that you just add on the team with the DJ Moore, and suddenly you're looking like
Hmm.
um, the Ravens or like the Chiefs, like in their heyday, and the Miami Dolphins, and suddenly that's scary.
Hmm. Yeah, and even with that, like, I think with the Bears draft, just because I mean, they're slated for at least probably most likely two top 10 picks, really close to probably two top 5 picks. Yeah, I think Marvin Harrison should almost be a must, like in terms of like a draft pick that you select if you do have that number one overall as the
Would
Chicago
you
Bears.
like? Would you be? Would you like bat an eye if I drafted him number one and not Caleb Williams? Would you honestly
Yeah,
do that?
yeah. Well, the thing is with how just the years gone in college football, I think that um that quarterback, like how teams view the quarterbacks rankings themselves, probably varies a lot from team to team. And so there's like a scenario out there that Caleb Williams is not the first quarterback taken.
Yeah. Well, the way
You know?
Penix is playing, dude, like I would be like I wouldn't
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. Like even Drake May, like it's I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Like who's the first quarterback overall? Like if we're
Hmm.
just basing it off of last season. Now, if we're talking about talent and potential, like Caleb Williams by far and away is more talented than any of these guys. But like if you're looking at performance of the past season, you're
Hmm.
totally right.
Yeah, because like I'm gonna bring up a past draft class as well, and like it's a different situation obviously, but I think of like Tua Tagovailoa. I mean injuries is what kind of like pushed him a little farther back, but
Right.
like that whole season, it was the whole tank for 2 a year. Everybody expecting him to go, picked number one overall. But as the season progressed, like, I mean, that obviously changed. And
Yeah, when Burrow
like,
had
I
his
mean,
season, right.
and I mean, you're looking now, like, yeah, Tua had his injuries in the past, but this year, Tua stayed healthy and he's looked like on fire. As much like I don't think any team would regret taking Tua Tagovailoa at the number one overall, knowing that this year he would be producing this exact way. And so I
Right.
think I think a similar thing could happen with Caleb Williams, where you like you said, Penix would go first, Drake May could theoretically go second. Like you could like mini mock draft time, but let's say Bears get like Marvin Harrison, number one overall, um, and then honestly, like teams going for quarterbacks could honestly pass on Caleb. This regardless of the fact that you could call him generational, just because of how this season has went and how other quarterbacks have played, even like Bo Nix. Uh, like
Right. He's another guy.
yeah, like you could theoretically see Bo Nix go like number two or something. Drake may go number three. Maybe like whoever kind of pans out to be the top defensive player of the class goes in that number four spot, and then let's say the Bears pick at five. They could theoretically get Caleb Williams at that number five spot, which I don't think anybody could have ever imagined. Going into the start of this season, which I mean,
And the thing
I'm
is,
not
they
at,
don't need him. They
yeah.
they don't. They honestly don't need, like. Going back to this Bears and Panthers game, I think it was emblematic also of like how Bryce Young is performing too, and like how we almost talk about CJ Stroud every week on this podcast with how well he's playing because he's in an excellent situation. And then when you contrast that with Bryce Young, like he was probably the consensus number one pick. Although it was like, I mean, personally, I was a fan of Richardson, and a lot of people were like being picked like top three, along with Stroud, and people were like the lowest on Stroud. But Stroud went into the best situation possible for him, and look how he's balling out. He's like, would you be talking about the Texans before the season starts and saying they're going tit for tat against the Bengals when they're at their peak? I don't think you'd be saying that. Like, would you talk? And the week before that, CJ Stroud's going for like 500 yards, and we just like constantly rage about the Texans like having three people go over 100 yards in the same game. From the wide receiver and tight end standpoint, that was wild. And then you compare that to Carolina's situation, where they moved all their assets plus a DJ Moore revenge game here, although not quite. Um, like they moved all their assets to get the number one pick to get Bryce Young, but like he's in a bad situation where he doesn't have like those kind of guys to throw to that CJ Stroud has, that Justin Fields didn't have before the DJ Moore move. So like from a Bears team building perspective, and this can go for the Panthers too, absolutely. If only they had their first round pick. Build around Bryce Young and Justin Fields in an environment where they can succeed. Yes, I know the Bears had a really good running game, but if you want Justin Fields to be like a top of the league passer, develop receivers that can win quickly for Justin Fields to make quick reads and like understand leverages. Because like a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., that's a guy where you can throw like fades, or like you could teach him how to run any route in the book, and he can still run the deep routes, and that's Justin Fields' game. Versus like a DJ Moore now, his best trait is run after catch. Can he win deep? Yes, he can, but you want to use him in that run after catch role, and like you want to find Keon Coleman, another guy, 50-50 guy, but also can do a ton more than that. Like you want to find guys that like you can build around Fields and what he does well, and the same thing with Bryce Young. Like Bryce Young is a timing based at quarterback, and you want to find really fast guys that can do the same thing, and you want to find really good tight ends as well. So I think this game is emblematic of like you need an offensive infusion to build around these guys. So you don't see scores like they're scoring under 20 points a game, and you're wondering, oh, we don't have the quarterback because CJ Stroud went off like crazy.
Yeah, but Panthers, are abysmally bad. Like offensive line, like I don't remember exactly how we reviewed their O line at the start of the season, but like, I mean, just looking now at least, their offensive line is probably one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive line in the league right now. Like Bryce Young is getting like pocket collapses so quickly on him.
Forget that. Look at their running game this past game. It was like almost non-existent. Like their Bryce Young finished 5 yards shorter than their leading rusher on 3 carries. And like Schubert Hubbard was their best runner, and he had 23 yards, and it took him 9 carries to reach that. Right.
Like, and so it's like that plus just like overall lack of skill position players. Where you're looking at like Adam Thielen is the best player on that offense right now. Like he's, I mean, I'm not denying that. Like going into the season, I thought he was still good. Like he was still putting up decent numbers in Minnesota last season. But like the fact that he's practically aged out, he's really, he's honestly probably just a couple seasons from like retirement. In all honesty, and
he's not like a unicorn receiver where like you can put him up against like Sauce Gardner one-on-one and say, okay, I'm confident he can win for me. Like, obviously, he's not Jefferson or Chase. He's not AJ Brown. He's not Jalen Waddle, or Tyreek Kidd. Like, he's not any of those guys. So, like, that's what Corstian's trying to pan out. Like, Bryce Young and like maybe even Justin Fields a little bit. Like DJ Moore's as much as I raved about him, he's like maybe a tick off from that. Like these quarterbacks need a guy like that to really surge. Like look at Josh Allen's third season, Jalen Hurts' his third season, like Burrow once he got chased. Like these quarterbacks need like guys. They can't do it on their own.
Hmm. Yeah. Low key though, I do think like honestly, with how like I think Gabe Davis would honestly be an improvement, a huge improvement to to the Panthers wide receiver room, and I think that like the Panthers could offer like late cap. Look,
Did
the
you see that interception he caused last game?
Panthers have zero deep threats in this offense.
But still, like the problem with Gabe Davis is he doesn't refine his catching technique, and we saw it yesterday.
Yeah,
Like
but
he caused an interception single handedly in the first
again,
quarter.
again,
Yeah.
no one on this outside of Thielen, no one in this Panthers receiver room, even tight ends, is a better player than uh, Gabe Davis right now.
But I would rather have like Marquise Brown, like from the Cardinals. Like I'd probably want him over Gabe. Like
I bet
I,
you
I get the
you could
intent.
get
I
Gabe
get the
Davis for
intent.
like a
Yeah.
fifth or sixth round pick. I think at this stage, I firmly believe. Like think about what you have to give up to get Gabe Davis versus what you have to give up to get Marquise Brown. Is what my take is here.
Or
And
you
I'm
could
not,
draft a guy in the second or third round. That can be better, you know? Like
but I'm
it's all
saying
about
like,
like how you build your team, you know?
but I'm just saying like at the mid season mark, I think they should have sent a shot for like a fifth round pick to get some like guy that at least can take the top off the defense because that's really what kills them here is the fact that no one on this Panthers offense can go deep, and so all they got to do is like send everybody towards Adam Thielen, and it stops their entire offense.
Right.
And you
I'll,
know,
I'll probably throw another name in there, like McCole Hardman. Like you could
yeah,
probably like as much as we like I bag on Gabe Davis, like you could have probably got McCole Hardman for cheaper, and
hmm
probably would have done the same thing for what the Panthers need. So like, Corstian, you do have a valid point there. Like they need a deep threat, and I honestly like Mingo. I really do. Like, but it is his rookie season, and it's gonna take him time to develop.
Also, I mean, like Mingo wasn't that great in college, but his good games all came
Yeah,
against bad competition, and he's not an elite route runner,
not
and
yet,
he's
but like he can still like win those 50-50 balls and stuff. Like he does that really well.
against
Um,
bad competition, which he doesn't face in the NFL. Like if you
yeah,
look at
I
all his
mean,
good games in college, it is against poor competition.
yeah, but like there's things within his control that he does really well. So like, um, yeah, we'll have to see.
Hmm
The verdict's still out on him. Um,
hmm
you're probably not a fan of him. I'm a fan of him. We'll see, but like regardless of that, they need some weapons badly.
Yeah.
Even with the people they've had and what they
hmm
invested.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of Bears Panthers. We probably could talk about this a long time right now.
Yeah.
Um, for my fantasy team name is still the Carolina Panthers, I think. Just because I had a identical record to them, but I finally started to split off from that. So now I can change it to the Chicago Bears because I'm at the Bears record instead of the Panthers record now. So I guess there's that. But going into another game, another low scoring affair, but the Colts and the Patriots game. And I know you caught a decent bit of this game, so I guess what were some of the takeaways you had from this one?
Um, Mac Jones looked really good until he made like such a boneheaded decision, like when the game was on the line. Score was like 10-6. He has a tight end wide open in the end zone with leverage where he just has to throw it over the top and they win the game. And
Hmm
what does he do? He undersells it. He underthrows it, and he gets picked off. And as a result, he got benched the last possession. Bailey Zappi came in. But like, but at that point, it was like not much time remaining. Bailey Zappi hasn't like thrown any passes in the game, and he went 3 for 7 for 25 yards, and then also ended the game with a bad interception. Um, but I think the real story of this game is the Colts defense. You
hmm
could really see them fly off the tape, like Dio Odenyingbo. I probably messed that up really badly. Had 3 sacks. Zaire Franklin forced a fumble. Julian Blackman and Rodney Thomas that had 2 interceptions, one each. Um, I think like the Colts are equally as good on defense as the Patriots in this game. And that's not saying much. Demario Douglas looked really nice. Ramondre
Hmm.
Stevenson is starting to look really good. Same with Pittman. Jonathan Taylor is starting to command the
Hmm.
backfield a lot more. Like Zach Moss only had one carry in this game, while Taylor had 23. So I think we're starting to see like Taylor round in the form and get that workload. Um, and Stevenson also had 20 carries. Was gimping
Hmm.
around a little bit, so Zeke came in, and Zeke looked really nice at spots. Like watch some of Zeke's snaps in this game, and it does not look like a player that like significantly looks like he lost a step or anything of that
Hmm.
sort. Like I think he is also rounding in the floor. He still has a lot of good years left behind him, but
Hmm.
um, I think the overwhelming thing to look here is like Mac Jones needs to really, really calm down, read the defense, like have that calm body like that he did in his rookie season and play the
Hmm.
game. Because sometimes he overthinks it or like
Hmm.
it's too late on a throw and it costs his team. Like this is the
Hmm.
second season now where you see like end of game, he's just making horrible decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of hope for Mac Jones this season. I thought this would be like a big turning point year for him. And like, I mean, like, I also understand, at least from like the receiver kind of room perspective, that they haven't necessarily been all too elite the past couple seasons. But
Douglas has looked good. I will say that. He was a
yeah,
bright spot on that team.
yeah, he looks good. I was pretty high on him at the start of the season as well. I thought he was a guy that could be really good. I think he started out on like IRs. I don't think he was getting playtime at all in the beginning. I think he was hurt. But I thought, yeah, he was a really good potential guy. They had what the dude that got hurt? Oh my
You talking about
gosh,
Kayshawn? Kayshawn
not
Booty?
Kayshawn. No, the other guy, the guy that was playing somewhat decent for this team too. Oh, just a second. I know who I'm talking about. Oh,
Not talking about Juju, are you?
no, I am talking about. Where is this guy?
Oh, Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick
Kendrick,
Bourne.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's out for the year. I think I was expecting
Hmm.
Booty to replace him throughout the year.
Yeah, but yeah, it was like Kendrick Bourne. So he was playing decent-ish as well. But I think again, this is just the Patriots are another team that are just really desperate for an elite, like just offensive playmaker. Like I feel like Demario Douglas, like he's good, but like I don't know if he had necessarily. I mean, obviously time will tell, but I don't know if he has that, like that immediate like X factor game changing ability that uh the Patriots really need in order to be like a competitive team on the offense side of the ball. So I
He
think
gives
they're
me
like,
like quicker, like Darnell Mooney vibes. Like
yeah,
like
I
really good
was
number
thinking.
two, really good number
Hmm.
two. But like I don't know about number one.
Yeah, and it's like he could theoretically develop, but at this stage, like I'm thinking he's like an elite like number two slot or like an elite slot guy number two type player. Um, so I think yeah, I mean if the Patriots continue to suck all throughout this season and like have a great draft pick, I would hope that they'd be in the running to get like to try to go for a Marvin Harrison Jr. as well, just because I think it would be a huge boost. He'd be a huge boost to a lot of teams, but I think Patriots in particular are a team that are really really weak in that receiver room, uh, and and like and I mean there's like quarterbacks that are able to like make do with like weaker receiver rooms and because they're just good, but like Mac Jones is just not that good. Like I think at best he's like a this is I think what his true peak is like a career Kirk Cousins Derek Carr at the very best, but he has a lot of work to even get to that stage of being a quarterback. But I do think that is about his limitations of like as a quarterback, at least if he develops, which
Yeah, I think
is.
he's like a perfect candidate to like go into
Mhm.
the San Francisco or like Minnesota system. To be quite
Mhm.
quite frank, and then really like back up. Like there's
Mhm.
the reason why I was so high on him because like his rookie season, he's shown a lot of what
Mhm.
we're seeing from like Brock Purdy on a regular
Mhm.
basis his rookie season. And I thought like having an offensive coordinator was going to make a huge difference for him. But it looks
Mhm.
like it's still part of the process. I think the one thing with him now is now with McDaniels fired, is there a situation where McDaniels is going to come back to the Patriots once again, be an offensive coordinator or like a QB coach and somewhat in that capacity, and ignite what like Josh McDaniels showed in his rookie season? I mean,
Mhm.
Mac Jones showed in his rookie season.
Yeah.
If that can happen, then there's hope out for Mac Jones. But we hearing the rumors and reports that Bill Belichick might be out like after the
Mhm.
season and things of that nature. Um,
Yeah.
so
Which may
who
be
knows?
a welcome change for the Patriots, just with how it's been since post Brady, basically.
Yeah, but I also think it's not even Bill Belichick, the head coach's fault. I think it's been like the GM. Like
He is
I
the
would
GM
love
though.
for like
Like,
somebody else to
yeah,
accept
like,
Belichick to just like I would love somebody from like the Pittsburgh personnel to like come over to the Patriots on front office solely to draft the wide receivers and not give Bill Belichick input on that. Like because I feel like if they just drafted wide receivers correctly, this team would be really, really good because now they can expand
mhm,
the running game they want to do with Stevenson, use Henry and
mhm,
Gesicki the way they want, and then they
mhm,
have a really good defense. But like they just haven't built the outside passing game well enough to like
mhm,
support that. On top of not drafting wide receivers
mhm.
that are really, really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Patriots. It's crazy how much they suck this year.
Right.
Like, they're a bottom. I think they are like the bottom AFC team right now, which came as a surprise, honestly.
I'm just as surprised they're like 2-8 with Bill Belichick coaching them right now. I did not
Yeah,
see this coming.
yeah. Do you remember what we predicted for these guys? Uh,
Um, Definitely not 2-8 after 10 games. It's been a
yeah,
minute.
yeah. Yeah. We can. Yeah. I don't have much to add on to this game. Besides the fact that both teams look awful. I mean, Colts are the Colts, but like Patriots are abysmal right now. But I'll actually go look up what our predictions for the Patriots were, and then you can kind of get started on the Browns Ravens, which is just our next bit here.
This one was a treat right from the jump. It didn't seem that way at the end of the first half, but like right at the beginning, start out first play of the game, Kyle Hamilton like makes a great play. Like Sean Watson's just running a run pass option, I think, where it's just like checking to a screen, in the flat, and Kyle Hamilton not only jumps it, he like pretty much like picks it up. He like goes all the way to the end zone and like he walks like the 5 yards remaining in the end zone because like everybody on the Browns like sideline and offense was just shocked that even happened. And then from there on, you just saw like that it was a bit of a slow start for Deshaun Watson, but like ever since the second half started, he was on a tear. The Ravens looked really, really good. Keaton, Keaton Mitchell, the running back from the Ravens, looked like Devon A. Chain did, like when he first burned on the scene. It was wild to see. He just made absolute cuts. Like he was making secondary players look like defensive linemen the way he was running past them. Like they're utilizing him well as like Gus Edwards in that spot. Zay Flowers looked absolutely amazing too, gaining separation. This was a fun game. I tuned into
Mhm.
it heavily, um, and Jerome Ford also played really well. Um, it did. I didn't like the fact that I was going up against Odell Beckham in one of my Yahoo fantasy leagues, and he had one catch, but that catch was like a 40-yard slant and run for a touchdown. So I didn't enjoy that, and I think I still won that game, that matchup. But I was just like,
Mhm.
I was panicking at that moment. I'm like, oh my goodness, of course this happened. Of course this guy scored has one catch overall in the entire game, and it goes for a 40-yard touchdown.
Mhm.
But it was a nice route. Lamar Jackson had great timing on it. Um, and then you started to see like the Browns defense really step it up. Like going into the second quarter, like, oh, the Ravens are up 17-3. You thought, okay, they're in command. Like Browns are not built to come from behind. And then you start seeing the defense, like Miles Garrett wreak havoc. Um, Other guys, like Darius Smith, you saw why they invested in him this offseason. Denzel Ward like was getting beat earlier, but he played really nice. Um, a lot of great things to enjoy from like both sides of the ball. Amari Cooper looked really good. Like we had talked about him as like an underrated number one wide receiver that can put up top 10 to 15 like numbers like every week. He's like phenomenal. Um, David Njoku had some nice stiff arms. Like I could go on and on with this game. Classic brawl. If you didn't expect it to go like into shootout, like over the third, like you didn't expect both teams to score like 60, even though both offenses like looked really, really good in this game. And it was still like a classic AFC matchup, like absolutely entertaining, worth the watch.
Mhm. Yeah, this AFC North uh, is actually really exciting to watch just with how close everything is. I think definitely what surprised us both. I mean, just in general, the AFC North is probably the Steelers. I don't think we have
Yeah,
talking too much about them today, but yeah, the
they're six and
competitiveness
three
of this.
now, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
I guess
Bengals of
who's
all
the
teams are
worst
out of
team?
the
Yeah,
playoffs.
yeah. I guess what the record is
Like they're 6-4, 5-4.
5-4, and they're last in
Hmm
the division. It's crazy, man.
hmm Yeah, but yeah. So I found our Patriots predictions here.
Oh, sweet.
Um, yeah, you had the Patriots at 7-10 this season, and I had the Patriots at 6-11.
Yeah. So like we didn't think they were gonna be like we thought we were just gonna be slightly below average, but like the fact that 2-8, like we're both surprised by this.
Yeah, because you had them at 5 wins at this stage in the season, and I had them at 4 wins at this stage in the season.
Right.
And so we only have them winning two more games the rest of the season, which at best is maybe one, maybe two.
Yeah.
Uh, we both have them beating the Steelers, but I don't think that's really gonna happen.
I
They
mean,
might.
like Mike Tomlin's equally as good as a coach as Bill Belichick, and for as much as we like harp on Matt Canada, like um the running game has looked really good as of late, and we'll talk
Hmm
about that later on. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, one in season prediction like we struggle with, but we thought like it's pretty accurate up to this point. It's like Browns, Ravens, and Bengals like competing for like the top of the division spot, and you clearly
hmm
saw that in this matchup.
hmm
Did you get a chance to take a look at the highlights or see this game? What did you notice?
Uh, yeah. For that, um, yeah. I mean, Ravens really choked. They had an opportunity to put the game away. It looked like that at one point, but
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what ended up switching. I mean, obviously Browns started clicking on offense, but the Ravens really, yeah, they just kind of let up. I think they almost, I think they like if I were to just make a guess on like what happened is I'm sure they thought that they had the game in the bag, and so like later on in the game they may have started coasting. That plus the Browns just getting extra hungry, later in the game as their offense started kind of gathering momentum, plus the Ravens starting to cool off, I think was just like the perfect storm for the Browns to just uh, start really making an insane comeback, which leads to the win here. But yeah, I mean both offenses at least played really well. It's nice to see Odell score touchdowns. I know last week was his like first touchdown in quite a while, right? Since like that
yeah. I
Rams.
think he only has like 2 or 3 touchdowns on the season. I could be totally wrong on that.
Yeah, so
Go
I
ahead
think
and
this is
fact
a
check
sec.
me.
Yeah, I think this is his second touchdown of the year. Because I remember last year, like Instagram, like NFL's Instagram posted like, oh, his first touchdown dance of the year, the first time since when he was on the Rams or something. And I'm like, dang, that's a bit. Like, I mean, I guess it makes sense because he missed all of the season, but it was good to see him, putting up points. Zay Flowers, yeah, Ravens really scored with that draft pick.
He's the
Uh,
truth, man. Like
yeah.
I had him number 2 in this draft class. He is
Mhm.
making that prediction look like incredibly wrong the way like he's looked this season.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's like a really nice compliment to Mark Andrews as well, just because you have Mark Andrews who's like, the big-bodied tight end, who's an elite player, and then now you got that really quick, smaller player who can really just make plays all over. Because, like, I mean, like his technical build is as of a slot receiver, but there's like I've seen multiple plays where he's like the deep target down the field, and so like he really is a guy that can play all over. And like in the next, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so, he could be in that conversation of like being like a top 10 receiver in the league, which I think would be really, really
I
cool.
think it can be as early as next season, if we're being
Hmm
honest. Like if you see the types of routes he runs, like it's outside the numbers. Like he
hmm
is winning with technique. like route combinations. Like
Mhm.
it's pretty impressive to see. Like I mean,
Mhm.
going up against like Denzel Ward, like and Newsome,
Mhm.
forgetting his first name there. Like
Greg.
they're really good corners. Yeah, Greg Newsome. Um, but like I wanted to touch upon like the Browns defense too because it
Mhm.
wasn't like the Ravens like let off the hook. I feel like when I was watching this
Mhm.
game, it's kind of like the Browns went after it
Mhm.
because they're probably the only team in the league that has like pass rush depth where they can flush Lamar Jackson out of the pocket and still be fine chasing him when he's scrambling. But there's this one play where they have like both defensive ends like collapse like Jackson at the same time. He steps up, and then like as soon as he steps up, there's like two defensive tackles like right on him at the same exact time hitting him. Like those kind of plays only the Browns could do because they're so loaded on the defensive line.
Mhm.
And like there's even this one play where like Garrett is chasing Lamar Jackson and he would have had a first down in any other defensive end. But like this is like Miles Garrett is like a unicorn on defense. And he
Mhm.
could just chase down anybody. Even the pick six on the Ravens, I don't even think it's Lamar Jackson's fault. Just like it wasn't Deshaun Watson's fault. Like that pick six happened in the first possession, but that's just a really good play by the DN because like he tips it up and like Newsome picks it off and then like runs it because it's a tip ball up in the air. And then they also have another tip on the kick for Justin Tucker. Like these are game changing plays the Browns are making, like that are translatable to
Mhm.
any game. And I know like a couple episodes ago we were talking about like oh how the Browns and I mean the Ravens and the Bengals could like beat anybody
Mhm.
like on any given Sunday, even the Chiefs or the Dolphins, or the way they're
Mhm.
playing. Like I would probably put the Browns up in there with the way Watson's playing now as well.
Mhm.
Like Watson was a big question mark, at least after the first half of the
Mhm.
season, but now he's looking phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can't even say like, oh, it's easy defenses because I mean, like the Ravens are an
They're
elite
one of the
team, you know,
best.
and
Like they have the second best defense in the league.
yeah, and so I think this was a really nice test, at least for the Browns, to like see if they got it all together in terms of is like is some of our success from just like playing weaker defenses, but here's like an actual showdown, like you know prime time esque game that you could have, and they really came to play, which obviously the more. I mean, in a way, I hate it that the Browns are playing good because it just makes it harder for the Broncos to go to the Super Bowl. But Broncos Country, let's ride. But yeah, it is fun to see like the competition and like less sucky teams in the league is always more fun to see. I mean, there'll always be sucky teams, it's just kind of the nature of the cycle of everything in the NFL. But yeah, it's fun to see good football, and as long as it's the competition is in my own division, despite literally every other team in the AFC West being over 500 besides the Broncos right now, or 500 and above, which also sucks massively. But yeah, that's that. But yeah, speaking of that AFC West, we have another AFC West team going head to head against an NFC North team, the Lions versus the Chargers here. Um, yeah, I thought happy to see Chargers lose. Lions go Lions. Lions country, let's ride.
Oh my goodness. I would stick with Russell Wilson Broncos country. Let's ride if I were you. Just rock that jersey. Lions offense was really nice.
hmm
We were clicking everywhere. Like it took a while for the passing game to get going.
hmm
But they didn't need the passing game to go like off because David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs looked really good. Like David Montgomery, like you wouldn't like everybody thinks of him as a bruiser. He quickly put those notions to bed with a 75-yard touchdown run. Um, Jameer Gibbs like looked really good on the first two possessions. Like he ended off the game with 14 carries for 77 rushing yards, and then he also had three catches for 35 rushing yards. So I was 35 passing yards.
hmm
But yeah, like the Lions running game looked really nice. Amon-Ra St. Brown, um, as usual in podcast nature, really the star of the show. Um,
hmm
really had 156 yards on 8 catches, which is crazy. And he probably wasn't even the best receiver on the field, to be honest, because Keenan Allen had a day. I didn't enjoy facing him in one of my leagues because I was going up against Dak and Keenan Allen, and they single handedly beat me. even though I had 140 points total. It was insane. But Keenan went off. Justin Herbert didn't play a bad game. Like, um, I mean, he had an early interception, but like he had 4 touchdowns, 323 yards. When you see those stats, like you think he'd be like really good, and the Chargers win. Eckler was nice, like uh, kind of one of his lower scoring performances, but like that's
Mhm.
being like 67 rushing yards, 48 receiving yards, and the touchdown. So like, uh, they weren't the reason they lost.
Mhm. Yeah, with the Chargers, I saw like the graphic thing or whatever of uh, like I think it was either yardage or points where like it was identical. Like during Herbert's entire career so far, like the offense, the defense has basically been identical in terms of like yards allowed or points allowed, or points scored versus points allowed. And I mean, I think that's just kind of been the forever struggle of the Chargers is like I don't know, they just seem to be really unlucky in like the weirdest way of like they just can't seem to get it done. Because I even think about like just I guess the Chargers' luck in terms of what year it was like at least 10 years ago ish, where I think the Chargers had like a top 5 offense and like a top 5 defense, and they missed the playoffs. Right? I think everybody knows that at this stage. That famous
Yeah,
season of theirs.
I mean they charged.
Yeah, Chargers got a Charger, but yeah, I do feel for Justin Herbert. He plays great football, um, and like the defense has got to do something. I know the Lions are like now one of the premier teams in the NFL, so it's hard to say that like, oh, you got to block up a bit better against the Lions. But then like even throughout the rest of the season, I think the Chargers really, I mean, they have like the guys to make plays. It's just they haven't been able to do anything, especially on defense. You even have playmakers on defense, like remember when that crazy Khalil Mack game earlier in the season, like they got guys that
And
can
he's
make
not even their
plays.
best pass rusher too.
Hmm. Like you look at the guys, right? You have Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, uh, even Sebastian Joseph Day's pretty solid. Asante Samuel Jr. He's nice. You have Derwin James, who we both said was like the number 1 or number 2 safety in all the NFL right
Yeah,
now. Like you have
and
guys
their
on
first round
defense.
pick, the um, I'm forgetting his last name. I'm gonna butcher it. Um,
Oh,
Tulu Pelotu, I think.
yeah, I
No,
think it's
Tulu Pelotu. All
Tui
right.
Pulotu. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys can butcher me. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. Um, go ahead, do that. But he's been really good this season,
Hmm.
and I think they need to play him more often with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa on the field at the same
Hmm.
time. And I get it. You theoretically, like their pass rushers are not going to be as good on the
Hmm.
run, but like when they're on the field together, they absolutely wreak havoc, and they allow like Derwin James and Asante Samuel to
Hmm.
make plays. So like
Hmm.
Chargers are like this game away, and then the Miami Dolphins game first week of the season from being 6-3 right now.
Hmm.
They're 4-5, and like I have them winning the division this year is my
Hmm.
prediction. So like I don't think it's the end of the road for them, but like
Hmm.
if they continue to play like this, like fortunately I think Staley's got to go, and they might make like Kellen Moore the head coach or like find somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if something's got to change, like you have so many playmakers. I mean, even your
They're too
offense, yeah, it's been on
talented to not
fire.
like be 4-5.
Hmm. Yeah, like this is a team when everything works is one of those. Yeah, they can go against anybody. It almost feels like they might be the Cowboys of the AFC in terms of they should be really really good, but like sometimes they lose. I mean, Cowboys have been really hot lately, so it's hard to put them in that conversation now. But like the generic Cowboys that we normally talk about is the Chargers right now in terms of, uh, yeah, the Chargers realistically could be an undefeated team with just how talented they are, but they just lose so many stupid games, and like I mean,
I wouldn't put that AFC team there yet. We'll talk about the other one that I think is a better description, but I see it.
yeah,
I could see it.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I mean, yeah, there's other teams too, but like, I mean, there can be multiple Cowboys teams, especially if you're in the AFC West, because I like to make fun of AFC West teams besides the Broncos. But Broncos country, let's ride. Um, but but yeah, the Lions have looked really good. I mean, Jared Goff, I think he just reached number 5 on the passing leaderboard right now, uh, for this season, which uh, it's making my beginning of the season prediction look kind of nice.
It's looking
Hopefully,
nice, dude.
yeah. Sam Howell's cooking though. Sam Howell's like 100 yards. I mean, CJ Stroud's insane too. He's number 2 on this list. But yeah, like Sam Howell and CJ Stroud being the 2 leaders on this was definitely not on like anybody in the world's bingo cards. Um,
To start this, no, forget that. Like, if you told me like Sam Howell, then CJ Stroud, and then Jared Goff would be like the top 5 passing leaders, like
mhm.
in the NFL, like going into the season, I would have slapped you across the face.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a crazy list. Like Sam Howell, Stroud, Tagovailoa, Josh Allen, and Jared Goff. Like
You mean it doesn't have Mahomes in there? What's going on?
no Mahomes. Rough
Or
row.
Hurts? Of wild.
Yeah. Yeah, Hurts is really close to that list though, I think. Well, they also just had their bye week. So
True.
that I yeah, but yeah, Patrick Mahomes is 6. Hurts is 9 right now. Kirk Cousins is still number 10.
Wow.
Uh yeah, Justin Herbert is 8, Dak Prescott 7, Purdy's 11. Derek Carr getting hurt kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's okay, but yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, if Lions have a pretty good shot at taking this division. Unless the
Pretty good
Pastronauts
shot. They're
uh
7-2 right now.
I mean, the Pastronauts pretty crazy too, you know. Your boy Josh Dobbs with this is ridiculous playmaking ability, looking like Mahomes 2.0 out there. I'm not really, but
As good as he's
like,
looked, as impressive, like he's really been impressive to be honest. Like
mhm,
off the field, like it's been impressive.
mhm,
And then on the field, he's like even showing up. But they're like 3 games behind the Lions. I
yeah,
don't see it happening. I really don't.
yeah, I know. I mean, I mean, they could again. It depends on how the season just pans out. I don't think the Lions really falter too much, but like,
I also live in
um,
Michigan, so I have to be careful about like, what the
oh,
Lions takes. You know,
yeah. Oh, wait, let's look at wait. Okay.
aren't the Vikings like 5-4 or 4-5? You know,
Vikings are 6-4.
6-4. Okay,
Yeah, so they're
all
just
right.
one. Yeah, so
Never mind.
7-2 and 6-4.
They are very much alive. But I retract everything I just said.
I mean, they're like a game and a half ish behind. Uh, yeah,
Right.
but this
They need the bye
Vikings.
week still, but like
Yeah.
they could
hmm
they're they're still in it. I think I would favor the Lions, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, but it's also like I'm looking at points for and against. So Lions have 241 points for, Vikings are at 233, and then points against, Lions are 203 and the Vikings are 209. So like points scored and points received are almost identical for both of these teams, which
Wow.
is actually crazy. And I mean, like Josh Dobbs, he has more touchdowns I think with his stint with the Vikings right now than Zach Wilson does on the Jets right now all season. So, I mean, yeah, I just take shots at Zach Wilson too,
But
but
Matt Canada was not the problem on the Steelers, right?
yeah. I mean, yeah, Matt Canada will be the Bills' new offensive coordinator after they swap, but
Who knows?
yeah, dang, Broncos country, let's ride. Bill suck. Um,
You're gonna
but
keep doing
anyway,
that all episode, huh?
yeah, all episode, man. But yeah, next game we got is the Jets and Raiders. Uh, Nate Hackett sucks. Broncos country, let's ride. But what were your thoughts on this the Jets and Raiders?
Josh Jacobs is back. That's the only thing I got for you. Like
Mm,
27 carries, 116 yards. Um, I thought it was really interesting listening to the broadcast that by Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico to hear that Robert Spillane is actually the one defensive player the new coach would want to build around. And I was like, what about Max Crosby? And then I saw Spillane hit the game-sealing interception
Mhm.
for the Raiders, and I was like, oh, that's why. Because
Mhm.
he just makes timely plays when he needs to. And Aiden O'Connell didn't look bad.
Mhm.
He like I know the box score is like pedestrian, like he
Mhm.
16 for 27, 153 passing yards, one passing touchdown, one interception. But he honestly didn't look bad. Like he's processing
Mhm.
the field. Like he was finding Devontae Adams pretty frequently. Um, and he's also like making sure the running game was in order. Had a nice touchdown pass to Michael Mayer in the corner of
Mhm.
the end zone. But like targeted Devontae 13 times. That's going to be a recipe for success there. Um,
Mhm.
Still no sighting of Hunter Renfro.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
He's
just
getting more
hope like
field
if you're
time
my
though, it
man, I would
seems.
love him on the Bears.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely used a lot more than when McDaniels was coach. So
Yeah.
definitely happy to see that. Garrett Wilson had like a bunch of phenomenal catches. Tyler
Mhm.
Conklin sneakily had a good game, 7 catches for
Mhm.
70 yards. Um, Definitely something to pay attention there. Um, Guess who was the leading rusher on the Jets?
Is it what? Zach Wilson?
Yep, 54 yards. He had a really nice scramble. He almost had a touchdown
Mhm.
scramble from like 20 yards out, 20 plus yards out, which was really nice. But unfortunately, his foot stepped out at like the 3, I think.
Mhm.
Breeze didn't have a signature game on the ground, 28 yards on 13 carries, but
Mhm.
still looked good in the swing game. Still plenty explosive. Um, like Max Crosby, enough like raving about him.
Mhm.
He wins no matter what, and it's pretty incredible to see that like he's the one player you want a game plan for, but he still gets like his hands on the quarterback and finds a way to make
Mhm.
plays.
Yeah. Yeah. The Jets coaching staff, I think, is really what holds them back. Even like I liked, I kind of like Robert Saleh, the Jets head coach, but I don't know. I feel like over time, like if I was a Jets fan, I feel like I kind of get sick of his antics to an extent where like it's almost like that meme, where like there's like that dude with like the stick and he's like poking the thing. He's like, "Come on, like do something." And I feel like that's kind of how the Jets fans feel about just the coaching staff in general. I mean, like Daniel Hackett is beyond awful. His like he's averaging less than like just as since I don't know, like it's like the last 14, 15 games or something. I was telling you this earlier, right? Like he's averaged like a touchdown or less a game, and I'm like, that is insane. Like, like you got to do better, and I think you probably saw like the little like photos or like little videos of like Aaron Rodgers kind of like talking to him, and like a lot of it seems like there's a lot of discontentment around him, which understandably so. This Jets offense looks awful. Like like last season, I mean their offense wasn't like good by any means, but like all they did this season was like kind of improve, like either keep or improve like identical pieces, and it looks like they've taken like 5 steps backwards. And and then you're seeing like the improvement from Russell Wilson, Broncos Country, let's ride, from this season to last season with like the head coaching change from Hackett to Sean Payton, and yeah, so I mean, just coaching, I think it's really bothers people. I think, yeah, and then like Robert Saleh, his like refusal to basically really focus on that offense, because I think he's a big defense guy, and so I mean their defense looks fine. I think they have a lot of great.
Their
They make
defense
a
is
lot.
all world. It really is good, nice.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal defense, but like he doesn't seem like he really cares much about the offense like at all. And like I don't know, the fact that I mean Zach Wilson, he played fine-ish this game, but like again, I feel like he isn't consistently good enough that like you really you got to try something different. Like I don't know.
One thing I would try with him is I noticed this when he tries to read the full field like he's Aaron Rodgers, like he's terrible.
Hmm.
But like when he's reading like half the field, like you got your flat route and then you got Devontae Adams run. I'm sorry, no, Garrett Wilson.
Hmm.
Sorry, they both wear 17. Like it was hard to tell who was who because both had good games. Um, like Garrett Wilson on a slant or like a dig or something like where it's on the same side of the field as your flat. Like when he's reading those, he's nice. Like he really is. He's decisive with the ball, gets it out with great timing and anticipation, and you love to see it. But
Hmm.
like when he's trying to do like too much, where he's like, oh, if it's not there, scramble. When he's not doing those things, not scrambling, and he's just trying to be Aaron Rodgers and like look at like the entire field in like 1 millisecond, like he's terrible
Hmm.
because like he doesn't know how to navigate the pocket right.
Hmm.
But like when he's like being decisive, and saying, okay, let me throw within a half a second. I see this open, I'm gonna trust it, or I'm
Hmm.
running. Like he looks good. So I think they almost need to simplify the offense. Um,
Hmm.
like make it half field reads, but like complex enough where they're not tipping out the defense. Because like
Yeah.
we've seen it in the Chiefs game. He's there.
Hmm.
Like now it's just like, okay, hack it. If you know it's there, build off of that. Like, and we
Hmm.
haven't seen that.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I will say that like Zach Wilson, he looks a lot better than he did like all of last season. Not this,
Absolutely.
and like not to say he's like become a even okay quarterback. I still think he's like easily bottom half of the league in terms of quarterback play. But it's improvement is
Fair.
improvement, and the fact that this year is like apparently considered a historically bad season just for an offense in general for the Jets right here, uh, is insane. With just how everything, like if they literally kept, I guess their offensive coordinator from last season into this season, they probably would have a couple more wins on like just with who they brought on, like with what they have. But like, I
If
mean,
they kept Mike White, imagine what they did if they kept Mike White.
hmm,
Look what he did for that
yeah,
team last year.
yeah, and then like what else is kind of, I guess, disappointing with the Jets is a lot of like the pieces they've brought on have also not been that great. Like, I mean, it was all part of the Aaron Rodgers package, right? But I mean, in additional offseason stuff, not all Aaron Rodgers, but you brought on like Alan Lazard, you brought on Randall Cobb, I mean, again, and then you have like Nicole Hardman who wasn't part of the deal, but like those are like three guys, offensive playmakers you brought on that are effectively doing nothing. Like
And then
I
meanwhile, you
checked.
got like Noah Brown, just chilling. Robert Woods just chilling. Dalton Schultz chilling, like on the Texans.
Yeah, because straight up, I went to like the Jets subreddit just to kind of like bask in Nathaniel Hackett, but all like they were talking about how and honestly they miss the trio that was Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Corey Davis last season, and even with the headache that Elijah Moore was last season, it's better than what they have now in terms of the guys that they brought on for this season to be their playmakers, which is
I feel like
crazy to
Denzel
think.
Mims would have been an upgrade over any of those guys too. I'm still a believer.
Yeah, well, because it's like I don't even know who half these guys are. Like you got Garrett, I mean, you have Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conkling's good, Brees Hall's good receiver, and then you have like Xavier Gibson with one catch for 24 yards, Alan
Well, I'll
Lazard.
say this: Gibson's one catch, like
Hmm.
he's a spark plug. Like, you see Xavier Gibson and have okay one catch for 24 yards. You're like, okay, he's not being used much. Like, okay, he's not getting targeted much.
Hmm.
But every time I watch him play, he looks really quick and really
Hmm.
nice. He adds a little something to the offense. He's just not
Hmm.
targeted enough, and then also Zach Wilson's not the QB to help support that as a number two wide
Hmm.
receiver option. So
Yeah.
that's why you see the numbers you do for Gibson. But like honestly, out of the guys you mentioned, he might be the best receiver outside of Wilson on that
Hmm.
team.
Yeah. Which again is disappointing considering how much they invested in like offensive playmakers over the course
He's
of
an
the
undrafted
offseason.
receiver too at that.
Right? Like Alan Lazard, what are you doing, bro? Like Randall Cobb, bruh. Like,
Yeah.
why was he even brought on to like in the front? Like, I think he was really, yeah. It Jets. I think really could benefit from a coaching change, but at the same time, it's tricky because I know coaches want to bring in their own guys, so it's like you got it's another rebuild basically, which sucks. But we'll see when Aaron Rodgers comes back. I know he's hoping to get back in December. If they're close enough to a playoff push, I wouldn't be surprised if he pushes coming back early. But uh, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play. I guess at least next season. Assuming Aaron Rodgers is staying. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he has like a nice relaxed year where he's fully healthy next season. But yeah.
I mean, the one thing to add too, don't mean to constantly talk about the Texans here and how impressive they look.
Hmm.
But their offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, was once a coordinator on the 49ers.
Hmm.
Robert Saleh came from the 49ers, and they were on the same coaching staff. But he
Hmm.
decided to go with Nathaniel Hackett as an OC to pander to Aaron Rodgers instead of identify a really good offensive coordinator who was innovative and built around the strengths of his QB
Hmm.
and Bobby Slowick. And
Hmm.
look at how quickly the Texans are doing well. And despite all the money and the picks the Jets have thrown at offensive talent, they're still struggling. Like
Hmm.
it's like Zach Wilson's not the only one to blame here. There's an
Hmm.
offensive environment that needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw like again on that Jet subreddit, they had like like a three-way Venn diagram of like the root of all their problems this season, and it's like one circle is Nathaniel Hackett, uh, another one is Zach Wilson, and then the other one is just like offensive line and penalties, basically.
Yeah. That's what really killed them in that game too.
Hmm. Yeah, and then obviously it'll be different conversation we'll be having when Aaron Rodgers is actually healthy and able to play for this team, because that was the whole expectation of this current Jets team is, it's going to be an Aaron Rodgers led team. I was actually kind of excited to kind of see how he plays here, but the injury sucks. But I don't know. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Jets should have still invested in, I don't know, better backup quarterback or I don't know, something.
They definitely should have had a better plan than saying, okay, we're gonna make Zach Wilson the backup QB.
Yeah, even if you had to compete for like starting afterward, like after Rodgers got hurt, like they should have a little more something in place. Loki should have traded for like Jameis Winston or something. I don't know. Oops.
Honestly, he
I don't
might be an improvement on this
know.
team.
Yeah, but you have anything else to add to this Jets Raiders game?
No, I know you're dying to talk about the Bills and that one other team, so let's do it.
Yeah, boy. Everyone, Broncos Country, let's ride. Woo!
I'll leave the floor to you. Tell me what you saw in this game. Why you're happy to be a Broncos fan.
Oh,
What made you
yeah.
smile yesterday?
Well, I'm happy because Broncos are going to be going to the Super Bowl now. Didn't know if you knew that before, but uh, just a matter of fact type thing now. But yeah, Broncos, they let Russ cook. Not really, but like they were cooking, both offensively and defensively. They were, cooking up plays. 4 turnovers is, nice thing to have, even though it came down to a second field goal attempt to win the game. It's the most Broncos way to win a primetime game like in all of existence. You get 4 turnovers forced by your defense, and you win on a second attempt field goal because of the 12th man. Thank you, Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, whatever. And him bringing the 12th man from Seattle to the Bills. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with how the game went. Afterward, I was thinking about putting money on the game, like for the Broncos to win. I was so confident. I was like, Loki, I should put all my savings on the game. I wish I had now because like I could have been so much more wealthy. I mean, I don't have that much savings, but like
What
I
was
would
the
have been
payout
wealthier.
if you won?
I don't even know. I just saw someone on Sleeper say I put two grand on the Broncos, and I'm like, low key must be nice because like Broncos were heavy underdogs for this game for obvious reasons. But in my heart, after that Chiefs game and that bye week, I knew Broncos could win this game, especially with just the Bills literally leading the league in like turnovers right now or something like that. Like it's crazy. But yeah, Broncos defense really stepped up. Like started the game, like first play of the game, Jaquan McMillian, with the strip fumble on James Cook. Really set the pace. Even though the Broncos only scored a field goal off of that, kind of lame. But like, um, yeah. So that was huge. And then just turnovers throughout the game. Obviously there's a few drops from the Bills players that hurt them. Gabe Davis, woo. But Broncos country, let's ride. Yeah, but yeah, I think just a lot of players on both offense and defense looked really nice. Uh, And I don't think there was. I don't know the exact number of stats on the stat sheet, but like you were seeing like Baron Browning, Zach Allen, and what's his name? Jonathan Cooper. We're all getting decent pressure on Josh Allen, kind of forcing rushed throws, which ended up leading to a lot of incompletions, which is really nice. Amari Mathis
Jonathan
still
Cooper has
sucks.
been one of my favorite players to watch this
hmm
season from the Broncos. He
Yeah.
looks like a great find for them.
hmm Yeah, I think Cooper was like a seventh round guy too, like in his draft class, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Grateful.
But did you have anything else you wanted to add? I think I cut you off there. Sorry.
Uh, Broncos Country, let's ride. Um,
Why would I expect anything else?
yeah, but yeah, I mean, like Javonte Williams has been looking good. I mean, he's just been a bowling ball. Samaje Perine has also made a lot of nice plays. I think it's a nice three-headed monster that the Broncos have had, just throughout, I guess, the season with slowly easing Javonte into the lead role basically, and then you have just two guys basically at behind Javonte who can really make plays just out of nowhere, which is really really nice to see. And then I think the Broncos could still benefit from I don't know like a, a better slot guy. I think in terms of like the offense because Jerry Judy and all, even though he's a great route runner, he sucks in the slot. And then Cortland Sutton, he's an awful separator. He's basically just another Kenny Galladay, but can like at least still catch. And so,
He had a really
like
nice touchdown though. That touchdown
that
was
touchdown,
sweet.
like Cortland Sutton has been insane in the red zone. I think almost all his touchdowns have just been like red zone, like within like the 10 type touchdown grabs or something like that, which is really nice. It's nice to have one of those guys that you can rely on your team. Um, because I mean, those are how you win games is guys that can score in the red zone, and that is what Cortland Sutton does best. And then I mean, he can make, I mean, he'll sometimes catch a slant. Normally he doesn't because his route running kind of sucks. But that's why you got Jerry Judy, Lil Jordan Humphrey made a couple nice catches, that one-handed grab in like the beginning of the game too, which is really nice. Um, but yeah, Bills, they really squandered it. Again, way too many turnovers. And then costly penalties towards the end of the game really shot them in the foot, which ended gave the Broncos the win. So Broncos Country, let's ride. Um, but yeah, you can go. That was most of what I had. See if I think of something, I'll say it after you.
Go for it. You're a Broncos fan. So this is a partial Broncos show, as you can tell. Bills, they were the Cowboys of the AFC I was talking about. You guys exactly at games like this where they shoot themselves in the foot with stupid mistakes, stupid turnovers, and then they cap it all off. Like they come back, they come all the way back, they get the crowd into it, and then they have 12 people on the field. That's on coaching, and that's on just players like not being aware situationally. They would have won the game. They made a stupid mistake, and it cost them. But the one bright spot was Dalton Kincaid, and I've been trying to tell you guys this since the start of the season and over the past few weeks. Well, don't look now, but he is slowly becoming the second option on the Bills. Five five of six targets were caught, 51 yards, and a really nice touchdown that's setting him free because everybody was focused on Diggs, but he could still win on his own. Really nice receiver. Um, Another guy that looked really, really nice, you mentioned it, Javonte Williams had a fantastic game. 4 catches, 31 yards, and a touchdown, but on the ground, had 79 yards on 21 carries. Um, his longest run was 11 yards, but he was physical. Like Russell Wilson looked a lot more leaner. Like you could tell, like when his scrambling ability, like he probably is like 70% of what he was in Seattle, and that was good enough to win in this game. Jaleel McLaughlin didn't have like great stats in the running game, but with that being said, he offers a spark on this team, like in a lightning capacity to Javonte Williams' thunder. I can see the future of this team having a running back tandem of Williams and McLaughlin. I think they have something there. It looks really nice. Cortland Sutton had a good game in my opinion. Yeah, obviously like he missed like 3 of his targets, but he had a really really sweet touchdown like we mentioned before. Jerry Judy is Like, there's a reason why he's having 3 catches for 35 yards. He'll have these games where, like, he looks really, really nice. His route running is, like, breaking everybody's ankles, but, like, he
Mhm.
won't catch the ball right, or, like, he won't separate as much as he should, like, from a receiver you see. So,
Mhm.
a lot of work to be done there. I'm still, like, I'm, like, flabbergasted why Mims has not gotten more playing time. I
Mhm.
really am, because, like, every time he's on the field, like, he gives them a spark from the receivers
Mhm.
standpoint. Like he's the one guy that should get more playing time on this team.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I think another big part of this is just like the Broncos offense isn't like air raid at all either. And where it's like take a few like play action deep shots, but
But
if
he's
like
good at those deep routes.
yeah, and so it's, I mean like the Broncos actually do that quite often if you looked at the game. It just they had a lot of the Bills would put a lot of guys deep on those plays,
Right.
which results in, those dump offs to like Samaje Perine, guys like Adam Troutman, Chris Mannertz, which I think is what it's what keeps the drives going because you throw it deep, it's an incomplete like because I mean like I was looking at some of those deep routes that they were running as well, and like Mims was getting double covered quite a bit deep, and I'm like, I mean it's valid. I mean teams have seen what Mims has been able to do on those deep routes, so you obviously want to lock that up, especially knowing that Russell Wilson loves his like moon ball, and so I think, I mean, teams have in a way tried to bottle that up, but at the same time, Broncos have been really efficient at that like short yardage situation and slowly just grinding up that yardage because again, like Russell Wilson, he's 23rd in pass yards this season. He has less pass yards than Josh Dobbs, Mac Jones, Jordan Love, and Zach Wilson. Like,
That's insane.
and he's just 60 yards ahead of Desmond Ritter. But his efficiency is insane because he has 18 touchdowns to 4 interceptions right now. And so it's like they're not necessarily doing like that whole air raid style, but like when it comes time to pass, they're making sure that it's in like really good situations where he can throw and be really efficient with what he's throwing, just with I guess his veteran, passer ability. And I think a lot of this has also been able to be done because of just the upgrades in the like the way the offensive line's been playing. Literally, the offensive line has been healthy all season long, which I think has really, really helped this Broncos team. And like the one weak link is Mike McGlinchey, um, whose really main weakness is just like, I guess, a couple false starts. Plus, he's weak in pass pro, but like as a run blocker, he's also elite. And the rest of the line's in blocking, like is a top 5 unit term in run blocking, and then they're like a top 10 unit in pass block. And so it's like, sure, you want to get Mims the ball more often, but also, when Russell Wilson only like throws for what like 193 yards this game, is averaging just about 200 yards a game, it's really hard to get those crazy big yardage game or plays that frequently.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned it, I do recall like the Bills playing like too high most of the
Hmm.
game, which really takes away those deep shots. So
Hmm.
like that's a fair point. I guess I'm like recalling like when I'm seeing like Mims and snap shares from earlier in the season. Because I've seen him on special teams. He looks
Hmm.
explosive enough, and I've seen it
Hmm.
especially against my Bears. Like, dude, really
Hmm.
really nice. In
Hmm.
those key situations you're talking about, but it's just one of those things that like why don't you see what you have in him more often? Maybe you
Hmm.
put him in the slot, see how he does,
Yeah.
and things of that nature. Give him some quick hitting
Hmm.
routes, run after the catch chances. Um,
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, he still had like a 40% snap share on this last game. It just,
right,
I think the Broncos are definitely running a lot of two tight end sets, just
right,
especially the fact that they're doing a lot of smash mouth football with
right.
running up the middle with Javonte Williams a ton. And then and I think that does really well for clock control as well, so that when the Broncos do get a lead in a game, they're able to kind of they're able to control the pace of the game with that run game of theirs, rather than I guess running up the score. Because I mean, you look at earlier in the season of the Broncos, right? And like here I'll look it up too. But like Broncos put up a lot of points, like especially against the Commanders, right? But they still lost that game, even though that was technically Russell Wilson's probably best game of the season, just because of yardage. Um, but
Yeah,
it's
they
those
combined for
games where
almost
like,
70 points.
hmm yeah, but it's these games where like the Broncos put up like their win streak, right? It's 19 points, 24 points, uh, and then yeah, 24 points that they've all put up in these wins that they've been having. So it's less about the air raid offense, and it's like if they're able to establish the tempo with the run game, and that comes from those two tight end sets, they're able to win these games. And I think that's hopefully should be their strategy going forward. I know they got a tough schedule up ahead, which is scary to see. But I mean, the Broncos shown they can win games after just beating the Chiefs and the Bills. So I mean, they got the Vikings, which will be technically their easiest game in a while
Wow.
because it's Vikings, Browns, Texans, Chargers, Lions, Patriots, Chargers, Raiders.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they can squeak by wins against the Vikings, Patriots, and Raiders. But like the rest of those games, those are gonna be like dogfights for sure.
Yeah. And like maybe they can split against the Chargers. Uh yeah, and then Browns will be a hard game to win. If they can get to CJ Stroud, they could win that game, but again, it's like a big if because CJ Stroud just balls out regardless, really.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that really against CJ Stroud is the fact that he's a rookie, but like that's all you can
He's not
really
playing
say.
like one.
He's not playing like one, but he technically is, and so it's like I guess if you're like rookies are technically the easiest people to get into people's heads, so like that's your shot at stopping the Texans. But if literally no one's been able to do that all season, really, so like I they don't they're around 500 anyway, so people have, but like that's not the point. The Texans are a scary team, but yeah,
Yeah, we're kind of running like over a lot. We talked about a lot of great games, a lot of good content
yeah,
is actually what I prefer. So, um, we can just like we have our give me 5 seconds where we kind of had like 1 minute or slightly longer than
hmm
that, like takes on like some of these
hmm
players and coaches. But I think for this week, we'll just list out like guys we really liked, um, and then like maybe a couple disappointments here or
hmm
there. On my list, I have a lot of guys who shined. We talked about like most of them. Um,
hmm
so my 5 guys that I really like this season and like guys you want to keep on your radar because they will perform later, like in the season and beyond. Um, Jameer Gibbs, great game. Dave Montgomery, also great game. We had talked about this. Miles Garrett, we also talked about like he's in the running for defensive MVP, defensive player of the year for sure. Um, Nick Bosa had a really good game. Like a lot of people paid attention to like Chase Young, like having an impact against the Jaguars. 49ers had a great bounce back game. And then last guy was Mike Evans, still producing, still that number one guy in Tampa Bay.
hmm yeah, good list. Um, yeah, my guys. I have another backfield with the Steelers with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Uh, they really stepped up this last game. Really worked the entire offense for them, and ideally, you'd like to see that step up. Next up, disappointment. We talked a lot about Nathaniel Hackett, Broncos Country. Let's ride. Next up, we have Cortland Sutton, who we also talked about. Crazy catch, Broncos Country. Let's ride. And then we have Brandon Cooks. Just really great game from him, even with CD Lamb balling out on the other side of the field, and so it's good to see him, put up really good numbers too. Nice seeing get opportunity, but that is my list of 5 guys that I thought were pretty or interesting to talk about this week. But
Broncos
um,
had a great, I mean, sorry. Well, Broncos
mhm,
had a good game yesterday. Broncos country. That's right. And
let's
then,
ride.
the Cowboys. Cowboys really had a great game. I was really surprised when I saw
hmm
that stat from Brandon Cooks and then like CeeDee Lamb and Dak went absolutely off. Hated that it happened against my fantasy team, but loved having them in dynasty. So guess
hmm
guess we lose some, we win some. But great game by the Cowboys.
hmm Yeah, but that's all we have for today. Thanks for tuning into the show. I'm gonna click the button, not you. But remember to follow us on our Instagram at amon.a.mission. Um, leave comments on what you liked, what you didn't like. Bronx Country, let's ride. Peace out.
Peace.